Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Cads. I just wanted to make a little tactical video on Ruben Amorims' system and what I've seen so far, and how I think that it will work, and what I have seen of it that does work. Okay, so now what you've seen here was what I was playing around with. Now this formation setup now is what we kind of looked like in the Fulham game. So let me break that down to you. So what had happened is we kind of lost our formation, we lost our stance a little bit, and this is where we kind of play nervous. So the Dorgu at left back, and then you've got Ahmad at right wing back, and then they kind of sit deep, and you're left with those two in midfield. And then what happened is the two tens get pushed out wide. So that's what you're left with. Hence how the middle of the pitch gets basically overran. Now the sweet spot is if you're in defence, and what I saw a little bit against Burnley, and basically the majority of Arsenal game, was that the two tens would sit deep when we were out of possession, right? Or even in the build-up play, should we say, which meant that you would end up, and the wing-backs would sit still kind of wide a little bit here, kind of in line with them, maybe a little bit like that, right? So then you'd have that formation in defence. Now, obviously, I'd say maybe Delit would sit a bit higher, Euro a bit more wider. So you kind of end up essentially with that, right? So you still have your kind of two in midfield, except I remember seeing Kuna in this sort of position here as they were on the break. So he was able to sort of run back and kind of keep this sort of space defending that, whilst maybe Bruno would run back a little deeper here. And so would Casemiro. Maybe Casemiro always seems to be slightly deeper. And then the two tens, and you got Mbuma who would make a run back to Ahmad there to try and kind of help defend. Now, I think the perfect style in which when we press is the two tens push up, like you say. So you got Kuna and Mbuma. You'll have Ahmad, who will push up nice and high, and this is where this is where their relationship needs to really kind of gel. Ahmad Diallo and Brian Mbuma, because you got the overlap run by Ahmad, who kind of actually a lot of the time wants to kind of play inside, which is fine. But essentially, you'd have Bruno and Mbuma push up, and then you can get Ahmad on the wide, and then you've got Kuna here, and then you've got Sesko pushing up, and then you've got your wing backs both pushing up high like this, essentially for the balls in, or playing, can play that pass to there, or so on and so on, right? And then, but this is the thing, right? This is the thing with the midfield. So if you want to put your wing backs kind of high around here again, and you want to put your 2-10 sort of in general formation, right? So hang on, let me just push that back a little bit, right? So this is how I see it sitting. So Delit is almost got to be like a really good ball playing centre back, brave, and also kind of like a deep lying CDM on defence, like the FIFA. Because when you've got Bruno here and you've got Casemiro here, this is where Delit needs to push up into that midfield spot, and then you're sent. I suppose they wouldn't get there. They can kind of sit wide. I'd say probably like essentially like that. That's kind of how you need to sit. There's your extra man in midfield. It's got to be Delit. Now it's a lot to ask of a centre back, and a lot of times you could just say, well, if you play a 3-2-4-1, you wouldn't have to worry about it anyway. But Ruben Amorims isn't changing the system, and this is how I see it working. So look, that's basically what I've got to say. Delit is your third man in the middle of the pitch when you're pressing, and then when you are on the defensive approach and Delit is back, this is where your tens pull in tight, and then Sesko makes his way back into here, right? And then your wing backs are kind of sitting in slightly on the inside, but not too far, because they still want to be able to take that pass from Euro and be able to make the runs down. And like I said, this is where we kind of get stuck against Fulham, because this a lot of the time you see this pass to here and that pass back. I see it all the time, especially Ahmad would do it. He would make a run up and then pass the ball back, and then it just ends up in this little triangle in our half of the pitch and doesn't really get out. That's because, like I said, these guys ended up pushing out wide, and then you're kind of left with this sort of formation in a sense like that, and then your midfield, or they would end up being a bit nervous and sitting back with where your back five is, right? And then obviously moving around from here to here. So Diallo would be up to there, and then end up being back there in the back five, and then you're left with the two in midfield. But that's what can't happen. Everybody needs to work as a team to kind of build that narrow, because I believe personally, if it's more narrow, like you say, on the defensive structure, and they want to play out wide, that's fine, because you can have this, and you can have your wide left back centre defender, and then you can have, it kind of just works like that because everybody can man mark, right? So yeah, essentially, that's where I see the problem. De Ligt needs to be really brave here and time it right as well, of course, and be that third man in midfield. So that's kind of how I see Ruben Amorims' system working. That's kind of what I've seen it work when I felt like we played against Arsenal. I felt like the team were really tight, all working together. And obviously, this system does require insane work rate. So that's the kind of thing I don't know, a lot of the time you think, just play a 4-2-3-1. But, I do see the attacking options that come with playing the wing backs who can all push up like this. You see, you've got your striker up there. You got your 2-10s overflowing that half of the pitch, right? Your wing backs go to there, your 2-10s here, right? Nice and narrow. And then you got Ahmad that side. And then Bruno loves a little thing like that, you know what I'm saying? And then these guys push up. And then your centre-backs pushing up to here, whilst the centre-backs are also pushing up. That's part of the pitch here. So you've got plenty of options. You've got plenty of passes, plenty of movement. Because, again, Dorgu can play that pass, cross into there, or he can play that pass there. And then, Mason Mount, Kuna, whatever it may be, can sort of figure this out whilst, the centre-backs do have it covered at this part of the pitch. We did see, do you remember the game against Grimsby where we saw De Ligt making overlap runs there? But, yeah, so that's kind of how I see it going, guys. City, I think, does City play a 4-1-2-1? No, like a 4-3-3, but slightly back. I can't remember what City play. We'll have to go through that. The thing is, I think obviously going away to City will be looking kind of defensive. I just don't want to see the five. I just don't want to see the five at the back here with the two lost in midfield while the 2-10s are pushed out almost in winger positions, staying wide, hoping for those long balls by the left and right centre back positions. I think we still need to do exactly what we did against Burnley for large parts of the game. Get Lemens in goal for the first time, for God's sake, because I don't want to see Arna wear a United shirt ever again in my life. And I think if we do play like we do against Arsenal, and we do play like we did against Burnley, but with a little bit more consistency and no goalkeeping errors, I think we can get the win against City. And then we have obviously Chelsea at home, which, I've got my money on a win away at City and a draw at home to Chelsea because they have got a good squad. But if we can get 6 points, that'd be insane. Because we've got a few tough games coming up at the start of the season, so it'd be nice to grab some points early on. Because we should have got at least a point against Arsenal. So I don't want to be sitting there going, we should have got a point against City. I want us to, to really take our chances as well, because we make a lot of good chances in the first half, and I feel like I said, this position here ends up being quite good with your 2-10s and stuff like this, right? And then your midfielders pushing up, Casemiro maybe staying like that, and having your options there. Now, if we can do this straight off the bat at City, come out strong and don't sit back and wait for the game to sort of City to get into the game. If we can do what we usually do, we start off really strong, maybe a ball from Bayern or Lemens straight over the top there, and just hammer City hard. Show them that you're not scared. I think we can maybe get a good early goal, and then maybe find another one later on throughout the game, and maybe like snatch a 2-1 win or something like that. But City will have chances. They do have a very good team. Oil money bastards, but it is. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of that. This is my first sort of analytic video, and I'm still very new to the football side of channels. As you guys know, I've got 180,000 subscriber, nearly 190 actually, 187,000 subscribers on my other channel, Cad's Crew Reactions. It's just Cad's Crew, but I mainly do reactions there. And obviously I'm trying to start this football channel because I am passionate about it, and I want to see United win a title before I get old and grey, because I'm getting grey and I'm nearly 30 years old next week, so I'm going to be 30 years old next week, so God help us all. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.